G'day ladies and gents, and welcome back to War Thunder. Today we're going to have a look at an old favourite. Well, it wasn't really a favourite when I first unlocked it, but the F4U-1C. It was a really interesting plane back in the day. It used to be really bad. I remember seeing plenty of videos of Corsair battles where it would just overheat, it wouldn't climb, it couldn't turn. It was kind of like the old the P-51 with the cannons, the cannon stang, if you will. For me, it was a terrible plane, and it was to most of the community, particularly considering that it overheated like nothing else. A lot of people tried to make videos on this plane back in the day. I'm talking 2015, 2016, and it was terrible. And then it got a rework. The thermodynamics update came through, and the adjustments for laminar flow wings came through as well. And now the F4U-1C is a beast. The Pratt & Whitney double Wasp is really the shining factor in this. It is absolutely amazing. Now you'll see me here in this footage. I'll be spending a lot of time climbing. The plane itself does really well at higher altitudes, and it is extremely good when it has an energy advantage, because boom and zooming is its primary means of dogfighting. However, you can put this thing into energy fights, which is where it really shines against planes like BF-109s. However, in this match, what I'm going to try and do is try and boom and zoom for a start, because in this match, we have the Japanese on the enemy team, and one thing that you should never do is turn with the Japanese plane. Ever. The Japanese planes were built so that they were very light, and so that they will turn extremely well. And this means that they will always outturn you, no matter the situation. If it gets to a low-speed maneuver, they will always do better than you. The only plane that doesn't in the entire tree is the Kawasaki 83, the Ki 83. That's because it's a twin-engine fighter. And even then, it will give you a run for your money. You'd never, ever turn with a Japanese fighter. You always try and boom and zoom, and this is exactly what I'm trying to do. I'm climbing, and I'm getting some altitude. I'm looking for targets, and then I will eventually boom and zoom on them. Now, this plane is pretty much very similar to its friends, or its brothers, if you will. The F4U-1C, F4U-1A, it's very similar in its handling, its performance, in its general overall feel. But it has one major difference that a lot of people seem to find very interesting. It has 20mm cannons. Now, a lot of people have argued in my comments section about which one is the better 20mm gun. For me, I think it's the MG151 because it seems to be a lot more accurate. And for me, what I like to do is I like to be a bit more long-ranged with my combat. I like to fight at a range of 600 meters or more, and I don't really always like to get in close, unless I have to, of course. Or unless I'm using 30 mils along with the 20 mils, like the heathen that I am. BF-109K4 video if you want to watch that. But the Corsair with the cannons, the F4U-1C, is perhaps one of the most interesting planes, simply because it has that really nice combination of that big meaty power, the double Wasp with the almost 2,000 horsepower, and then it's got the 20 mils. So this plane is really good for diving in, getting in close, shotgunning to all hell, and then getting out of there. And this is exactly what a lot of players really like about the Corsair. It is extremely good in deflection shots. Now, I don't have the cannons fully upgraded, so they really are big shotguns. And they're absolutely terrible in head-ons, and you will see that. I would never, ever go head-on with a Cannon Corsair, in a Cannon Corsair without the upgrades. And you'll see exactly why in this video, because I like I said, I don't have the upgrades. I do have the engine injection, however, and that is the primary thing that you will see makes the difference with tier 3 and 4 props. Once you grind that engine injection out, you will have the time of your life. Every prop, consistently. There was a time where I flew the G56, and I absolutely hated it. I could not stand, thought it was terrible. I thought it wasn't even worth its battle rating, and then I got the engine injection, and I literally changed my opinion on a plane in a single match. It was... So, returning to the battle, there's a Kawasaki 43 up at altitude. I don't want to touch it. I'm extending. I'm going nice and fast, putting my speed to use. Hopefully he doesn't dive on me. If he does, I can always dive away. And there's no one else at altitude, so basically it's almost free reign. There's a couple of Focke-Wulf 190s down there, and they're looking like juicy targets for me because they're close, they're slow, they're together. They're probably not terribly experienced, judging by the way that they're flying. They're simply perhaps lemming training after a single object. They're not really climbing, and that's exactly what you should do in a Focke-Wulf. You can see this particular one is just flying in a straight line, trying to avoid my shots, but as soon as I get into point 4, the guy explodes. Now I go for a quick head-on, and you can see it's really, really shaky, and I only managed to get the hits at about point 4 or point 6. The A&M2s are extremely inaccurate when stock, but there's no time to dwell on that. I'm about to go head on with a BF 109, and you can see once again, I don't land any shots, and it's all down to the inaccuracy of the 20 mils. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm extending away from the G2 just enough so that he doesn't get guns on. I'm going above and around using that really good roll rate, popping my combat flaps, and I'm trying to get on the inside. I don't put the elevator in there just so that I can escape his guns, and now he's in front of me and I get a beautiful reversal. That is how you do a reversal, ladies and gents. You've got to make sure that he has more energy than you. You could see that he started off at a higher altitude. I started off at a lower speed, and at the end of the day, I came through because I have the better roll rate, I have the better control of my plane, and I didn't get in front of his guns. I gave him a small window of opportunity to try and make a maneuver on me. Obviously, I avoided the contact with his guns, and that's exactly what you have to do. You have to sort of bait them in, make sure that they commit, and once they do commit, then you can finish with the execute and get behind them. I would never zero throttle unless it's absolutely necessary, because one of the things that you've got to consider when you're flying a plane is, are you going to run out of energy? And at that point, you would have to dive, and you would start to lose your altitude. And obviously, when it comes to props, altitude is one of the things that you really, really need in a fight. And that's something that you should never, ever willingly give up. You should never willingly give up your altitude. You should always fight for every meter, every foot, every nautical... It is feet, yes, it is. I was thinking the 3 different speeds that you can use to describe how fast the plane's going. So you've got knots, you've got miles per hour, and you've got kilometers per hour in War Thunder. And yeah, well done me. But you want to keep whatever speed you use, you want to keep that up. You need to make sure that you keep your speed at something that you are not going to fall out of the sky at, and something that you can maneuver. And that's exactly what I did against the BF 109. I managed to get behind him. He could do the exact same to me. He just needed better control of his plane. And in a case like that, he shouldn't really have committed. He had a lot of energy. You could see he started way above me. And the BF 109 G2 is a very, very capable plane. It's just not when you're bleeding all your energy like that. You've got to be really, really careful. That's one of the beautiful things about props for me. A lot of people just go, oh no, let's go straight to jets, get the jets. And that's all good and well. Like, I really love it. If you're a good jet pilot, then that's really rewarding. And I've been there and I've done that. One of the things I really love for props is everything happens a little bit slower. Everything happens a little bit more methodically. Everything happens, and you're able to sort of take it in. You're able to sort of take in every single step, and every roll of your elevator, of your rudder matters. Every roll of your ailerons matters. In jets, you can sort of roll one way and roll very quickly the other way without thinking. And in props, you need to really make sure that you commit to the right one. And it's about finding what pattern works for you and finding what pattern works for the plane, and making sure that that comes to fruition the way you want it. And that takes time and practice. And one of the things, obviously, you can do is watch YouTube videos on it, which is maybe why you're here. The Corsair is absolutely amazing in a straight line. It is a very fast plane, but one of the things that you will see in this video is it is extremely good in a dive. It dives like like a brick. It's incredible. This thing used to be a brick, and that used to be its main focus. It used to be really good at diving. But now this plane is a little bit more all-rounded, and it is really, really nice to fly it. As you can see, I tried to pop a blind hunt, and if you guys looked at the dev Q&A, someone mentioned that blind hunts spot your enemy for you, and is that a glitch? Now, I find that absolutely hilarious as someone who has hunted down many space climbing bombers with blind hunts. I would like to see more blind hunts in War Thunder. You know, more blind hunts and Avengers, obviously, but the concept behind it is perfect. If you're looking for that last person, you pop a blind hunt, and they will never be able to escape that until the timer runs out, which is beautiful, because if someone wants to climb to space and be a menace and be a pain in the ass, then you can go and hunt them down. Or if someone wants to camp their airfield, you know to climb at about 5,000 meters and meet them there when they come to take off, or when they, feel like they're safe and secure. I really have no respect for people that decide to waste others' time and camp at altitude or camp by their airfield. It's really not only disrespectful, but it's also unsportsmanlike, and it's also very time wasting. A lot of people are trying to grind. Perhaps if you just want to play games, you want to get kills. Perhaps you're wanting video footage for montages or content like myself. And it's really not a handy thing. It's not helpful to the War Thunder community to just drag out matches like that. Obviously, if someone's at altitude, you can always go for ground targets, but it's honestly not the same thing. It's perhaps it might be rewarding to you, it might be relaxing, as it is to me. But if you're wanting to get kills, for example, or if you're wanting to grind an event that requires kills, then it's really, really, really frustrating. Now, returning to the battle, there is a J2M, and I am diving on him. You can see now I am actually putting that dive speed to work, and it is coming through really, really well. Look how quickly I am gaining on this guy. J2Ms are really lightweight planes compared to the Corsair, and you can see I'm able to put that energy retention to use, but it's not really going to come to fruition. As you can see, there's a P-47, so I go to put myself into a climb. I'm waiting for him to come and converge on me, and so he does. So I put myself into a vertical to throw him off, because he's already put himself into a dive, and he's not a turny plane. So I can easily evade his guns, and now he's gone into a left-hand turn and bled all of his energy. This is his big mistake, and now I'm behind his guns. You can see me getting a couple of lucky hits on his tail. You can see his rudder is blown clean off, and he's trying to defensive fly, but it's not going to work. The J2M2 has come back for more, clearly looking at just sort of camping his airfield and looking for easy kills. That's not going to happen, buddy. You're going into a turn, you bled all your energy. I got a couple of hits, not much, but that won't last for very long. You can see he's trying to evade, he's using his rudder. I zoom out a little bit so that I can get a feel for where he's heading, and I just open up with the 20 mils, get a crit on his wing, and then clean off goes his tail. An ace in the Corsair, a very, very strong plane, and an excellent display of what the Corsair is capable of in all situations. Boom and zooms, head-ons, energy fights, reversals. This plane is an excellent all-rounder because of that double Wasp and because of those 20 mils, although I wouldn't go for the head-ons. The head-ons are a little bit risky. So, ladies and gents, I hope you enjoyed this ace, which it was really fun. I managed to get this in my very first game of the day, which was absolutely amazing. But yeah, that's the F4U-1C, the old, used to be terrible plane. Now it's a bit of a god, and it's really, really nice. Obviously, it's well balanced, but go out there, spade it, give it a go. It's a lot of fun. Anyway, ladies and gents, take care, and I'll catch you next time. If you watched to the end of the video, type Hispanos are the best cannons in the entire game.